That was actually a pretty nice episode. It gave me a couple of surprises, let me tell you. Now, I don't think it's like as great as everyone is saying, but this was a pretty nice follow-up, and we got a couple of firsts, which I hopefully will remember. So, although half of this episode was showing stuff in each camp, Ryan on his Justin's and Jerry's new setup, Stream.tv, I think the name is, made a very valid point. Because there's three tribes, and then you avoid the reward challenge, we actually get a lot from all these tribes, and arguably even more than we do with two tribes. And I'm with him on that because, well, Survivor has been losing airtime over the years because, like, it used to be that this show got like a solid 45 minutes of airtime. Now it's lucky if it gets 42, I think. I'm pretty sure most episodes that I view clock in at about 40 minutes and 45 seconds, and let's not even talk about Wheel of Fortune going from 23 minutes to 19, barely. Ugh, jeez. But what we got from all these tribes was pretty good, because, like, the white collar, it shows that there's somewhat putting the issues behind them, you know, trying to survive, and Max makes a valid point. Not used to working with our hands, so it's tougher for us to get down to the nitty-gritty, and I'm with them. A couple of, like, ancient people probably would, you know, look at my hands and go, "You've never done an honest day's work in your life." Well, that's true. I've never, like, broken my back or anything doing labor for a whole week, although I have busted my legs doing an 8-hour shift at work multiple times, back to back. Hey, that was some tough couple of days, okay? But I do kind of understand where he's coming from. Also, I'm not that great with tools anyway, although my uncle, he's a master, so, yeah. And then him getting naked, well, it is his choice, but yeah, it is kind of uncomfortable. Seeing someone wandering around in their birthday suit, for crying out loud. I mean, like, if you're wondering why I didn't complain about that with Richard Hatch, well, Richard Hatch, at least, you know, has the obnoxious personality, so you can kind of laugh it off, but Max, he's a great guy. Well, not great as in entertainment to watch, but, you know, he's a great guy outside of the game, you know, given his job and all of his social relations that he definitely has. So just, you know, it's just not expected to see somebody like him do that same thing with a Shirin. If I'm butchering her name, I apologize. We'll get it eventually, all of us. Yeah. And that pretty much sums away my thoughts. It's interesting to view, but if I was there, yeah, I'd probably shy away from that situation. I mean, for crying out loud, you don't want to see how I look like without my shirt. You know, because, like, I consider myself a pretty pale fellow already, but, like, if you thought this was pale, wait till you see this. Trust me. I look like Cochran, totally. Well, some of you would argue I do look like Cochran, yeah. No collar, well, in many ways, it was just a repeat from the previous episode, half of it at least, and then all the dynamics going on with the girls. I feel for both parties, I think, in this situation, because Nina, it's obvious that, you know, the girls are behaving this way because she's hearing impaired and they don't really know how to deal with it. But at the same time, given how there's only 6 people on the tribe and they've been out there for almost a week by the end of the episode, maybe you could have done something, although maybe it's the age gap, although I don't think it's as great as I'm kind of making it seem. Yeah. And then blue collar. Okay, so first of all, I have to talk about the underwear bit. Yeah, as Steven was wondering, is that on purpose or was that truly accidental? Because just the way he described the setup, yeah. And I seriously wonder if he's gonna have to go around with either the shirt as a skirt or just have to deal with the chafing for the rest of the show. I mean, like, I know that back in Redemption Iowa they didn't replace Philip's shorts, but he did still have underwear to accompany it, you know, and tons of females walk around in just underwear, so yeah, but this is different. He's genuinely uncomfortable. Huh. And then Mike's bit, I gotta admit, that one I do think he's been somewhat overbearing because, yes, there are all things to do at camp. Get fire, your wood, boil water because it takes a while to boil, and then everybody has to drink somewhat, and out there you're, I think, this close to getting dehydrated no matter what you do. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do at that kind of camp, you know. You're just wandering around for days on end, like in any kind of creature comforts. Trust me, I'll be wandering a lot on Survivor if I was there, and I hate to imagine what I do in a Big Brother because there's even less space there. Whew. And it makes me wonder if Mike's going to be more of a trouble than Dan, because given the next time on thing, all they showed was Blue Collar this time, and since now the Blue Collar is the only tribe that hasn't lost a challenge. And then that challenge, I just love that challenge. It kind of ran me a lot more back to old school, you know, maneuvering the stuff for all the obstacles. I think they did something pretty similar to this in Vanuatu 2 and HVV and maybe a couple of other seasons that I'm just forgetting. It really seemed like a challenge that you have to, really watch what it is you're doing. Can easily get frustrated or tired, especially if you're not the greatest confident in the water, although I do really hate that stereotype of black people not being able to swim. Not everyone knows how to swim, people. I mean, like, not everyone on the United States lives next to an ocean or near a swimming pool or anything like that, okay? Sheesh, that's just like saying everybody should know how to do basketball. Although that's another stereotype that's generally used for black people. Yeah. But I really did like how the lead, kept changing, and how the white collar went from last to first, although it wasn't the biggest amount of first place, because blue collar was fairly consistent, and I'd imagine that it is still somewhat tough to get yourself out of that water, because they didn't really seem to be a good handhold. Now I know what you're thinking, it's only a foot up, yeah, but you have to put your arms up so it's like this, and then heave your chest up, so like if you weigh over 200 pounds, I'd imagine that would be tough to do, okay? And Dan's got to be way over 250, something close to that. And I wasn't really expecting No Collar to fall behind the way they did, although in hindsight I should have, given how I think that they were the third tribe featured in terms of the tribal discussions, but once they got all 5 pieces and missed their second shot, I was pretty confident that they'd lose the challenge, and they did. And for those of you who have paid attention to the history of this show, this is actually the first time in a Free Tribe season where one tribe has not lost the first and second immunities, because Saboga lost the first 2, Madseen lost the first 2 and the next 2, and then the Brains lost the first 2, so not bad, White Collar, you broke the curse, although it's still not completely broken, because all of those previous tribes I mentioned were the lowest in members come the tribal switch, as somebody on Rob Sesternino's website pointed out, so let's see if they can fully break it. That'd be interesting to see. Right. So, all the dynamics that were going on at camp, I'm just going to summarize it up in one sentence and say, interesting. We got a lot from pretty much everybody on where they stood, although I did think it was kind of stupid that it ended up being the young white people sticking together versus everyone who wasn't really young or white. I'm not trying to be racist or accuse anybody of being racist, because young people do go with each other all the time. I mean, like, there was Caramon. I heard vague mentions of that in Micronesia. It happened on Exile Island. Yeah. And then that tribal, I had heard enough that I was pretty sure that an outcome was coming that not too many people would expect, because I was very confident that despite everybody again being very honest to Jeff during the tribal, that the young people were still going to do the split, and that Will was going to switch his vote and probably vote out Jen. So, when Jeff has that last vote, his second person voted out blankety blankety blank. I was going Jen, and then he turns it Vince, and I was just shocked by that. Just, yeah, that's the first time in forever, I think, that I've been genuinely blindsided by a vote. I mean, like, one could argue that, the last time this happened was Garrett, but at the same time, I thought that there was a darn good possibility he could go, so if we take that out of the equation, I can't even remember the last time that that happened, to be honest, because usually when a blindside happens on the show, I think that this person has a good likelihood of going, so even though it may not go the way I completely expected it to, or the way I wanted to, given the fact that I acknowledge it's still a possibility, it's not that I'm shocked, it's more I'm disappointed or surprised. But this just, I was not expecting at all. I just thought Vince was good. So, what was his face? Will did, well, I mean, like, it is your decision, and I agree Vince was being somewhat ridiculous on the personality, but I don't know, he was an interesting character, and, yeah, I think as Rob Cesternino says, everybody on this tribe screwed up this episode. It'll be interesting to see if they managed to rebound from this. I know that I said that about White Collar last episode, but White Collar, you know, it just felt more typical, minus the honesty of Tribal Council. This feels a little bit unique. As for the next time bit, well, given how all they show is Blue Collar continuing to bicker with each other despite never losing the challenge, yeah. Eventually they're going to have to face Jeff eventually. The question really is when. Although that'll be interesting to see if they do lose, because then we'll be at 5-5-4 when the tribe switches, regardless of what happens in episode 4. Anything else that I want to mention? Nah, I think I'm gonna let you go at this point. I think I could go on, but you've had enough. See ya.